Good morning, Nilesh sir.
Good morning, Sachin. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
I hope the screen is visible.
Yes.
So, welcome all. So today we have with us our special guest for this lecture, Sachin Kumbhoje. He's a founder, CEO of OPEX Accelerated Private Limited, Kolhapur. He's a serial entrepreneur and startup ecosystem enabler. He's a healthcare professional who did his post-graduation in pharmacy and MBA in HR and marketing. He spent few years in pharmaceutical industry working in technology transfer. With urge for his own startup, he happily dropped out PhD and pursued MBA to begin his entrepreneurship journey. In 2015, he was a part of Infosys Foundation's Global Business Foundation Skills program, which was a turning point to kickstart his own startup named as OPEX Operational Excellence in 2016. For his initiative to promote Make in India, he got recognition from Prime Minister's office. With his bootstrap startup, he could manage to impact more than 50,000 students and professionals for startup and skill development in 5 years. Today, along with OPEX, he leads other ventures like CIREE, Plan B, Civic, and Satvik. All his ventures are humanity plus companies to take humanity to the next level. His vision is to solve India's unemployment crisis through balancing job creators and job seekers. Recently, he has received Gaurav Puraskar from Maharashtra's leading press media, Sakar. So, as a BPharm classmate, I feel proud that my friend has have that much of success. So, welcome you, Sachin, and I welcome you with these flowers. So, kindly accept that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nilesh sir. And I'm also thankful to all the organizers, all the participants out here for having me here for this session, where I'll be, sharing a few of the inputs, few of my own experiences as far as the topic is concerned. That's startup opportunities in healthcare. Now, as far as this topic is concerned, the entire session is, I have classified this entire session into three parts. Number one, I'll be, talking more on what exactly the startup, because most of the times what happens is we have misconceptualized this particular startup terminology. So I'll be, briefing more on what exactly is a startup. Next, we are going to understand the entire ecosystem, because even, as we all are aware, last month, 16th of January, this is the day from this year onwards, we are celebrating National Startup Day officially. So this itself, explores the kind of opportunities which we have in our country. We need to see how we can leverage this entire networking ecosystem for the opportunities in startup. And the last part of my session would be uh, some of the incredible case studies of healthcare startup, which will, give you uh, great ideas to begin with your own startup ideas. Or even, there are multiple students from medical, pharma, nursing, dental, those who have exceptional ideas as far as healthcare problems are concerned. Okay, so during this entire session, the possible outcome from this particular session would be to understand what exactly is a startup, and to understand what are the opportunities which are there in the startups. Uh, Even at the conclusion note, I'll be, sharing you a few of the subsectors in healthcare, because when we consider healthcare, it is huge. Even pharma is, we should consider, pharma is just a part of our entire healthcare sector. So even if any of the student, or even if any of the professors, or even a few of the PhD scholars, they have something, or ideas in, say, physiotherapy or dental, or even hospital management, or kind of softwares, anything which is even not related with pharma, we can, actually explore these ideas. So let's consider healthcare as the core sector. And again, in healthcare sector, what are those 14 different subsectors? By understanding this, you can eventually kickstart your own startup. So now I'll be sharing you my presentation through which we can go ahead. Just give me a minute. I'll just share you my screen so that we can go ahead. Also, one more thing. Through this entire Yeah, through this entire presentation, during this entire session, in case if you have any kind of questions or queries, you can share these questions in the chat box. Yes, I guess. Yes, I guess my screen is visible to everyone. Could you please confirm?
Yes, yes, it's visible.
Yes. Okay, perfect. So as I said earlier, we should start this particular session by understanding what exactly is a startup. Okay. Now, startup is basically, now even startup. Let's start with this particular discussion. Like businesses, startup is all about business. Startup is all about a business entity which have innovation, right? So in order to have this particular startup, or in order to understand this particular startup terminology, we should accept this fact that businesses which have innovation, that is known as startup, right? So there are two types of businesses. Number one, conventional businesses or traditional businesses. Number two, innovative businesses. For example, let's consider, say for example, if I have started my retail pharmacy outlet, or say for example I have started a distributorship, or for example I have started a dealership in some equipments, medical equipments, or surgical. So that cannot be a startup, right? See, this is the most prominent misunderstanding which we have did. Okay, even if somebody has started a retail pharmacy store, or even say for example a cake shop, or even a supermarket, then they claiming as it is a startup. No doubt they have begun their business journey, but we cannot term them as a startup, because startup is all about innovation, right? There is another kind, that is business with innovation, right? So number one is conventional business, where we have seen these kind of business examples. Number two is the innovative businesses. For example, let's consider pharmacy, netmeds, or even in the retail, like for example wellness forever, or generic card, or generic Aadhaar, or few of the, say the best example which I can give you right now is MyLab Discovery Solutions, one of the Pune based startup, right? So MyLab Discovery Solutions, it is all about innovation in diagnostic kits, right? So as we all know, MyLab Discovery is India's first company who have bought COVID-19 test kits, right? So these are the businesses which involves innovation. Now, when I talk about Wellness Forever, or Generic Aadhaar, or Generic Card, or even Dawa Bazaar, these are the businesses, they have innovation in their business model. And that's the thing which are going to discuss now. Okay. So far, what we have seen is businesses have two kinds: conventional business, innovative business. And innovative businesses are nothing but startup, right? So startups basically creates a solution for problem, right? Now, being a healthcare professional, we all know that healthcare sector is flooded with the problems, right? You visit any kind of government hospital, you visit any hospital which is there in tier 3 and tier 4 locations, you even visit a few of the pathology labs, right? You can, have a list of problems which are there in healthcare sector, and this is the perfect time to consider these problems as an opportunity, so that we can innovate something, we can bring some great products in the market, and then we can eventually start our own startup, right? So startups are basically all about solving the problems, solving the pain points of the customer, solving the burning problems of this market, right? So startups basically create a solution for problem, right? Now, as far as innovation is concerned, because what I said is, if your business have innovation, then you can term this as a startup, right? Now, when I talk about innovation, then we have three kinds of uh, innovation as far as startup is concerned. Okay, number one, product innovation. Number two, process innovation. And number three, and most important, that is business model innovation, right? So when you innovate any product and start your business, it's nothing but a startup. When you innovate a process in your business and you start a startup, that's a startup. And number three is when you innovate a business model, then also your business becomes a startup, right? Now, I you might have understood the product innovation or process innovation. We have great examples even in pharma, even in diagnostic kits or medical devices, right? Even in pharma, nutraceuticals, herbal cosmeceuticals, we have multiple startup examples. If you ask me for product innovation and process innovation, number one and number two, but what are the examples of number three, that is business model innovation? So number one is wellness forever. So wellness forever is something which they have revised, they have modified this entire business model. Now, what exactly is business model? The basic native question. What exactly is a business model? Business model is basically your revenue structure. It is basically the answer to a most possible question. How will you earn money out of your business? That's it, right? So business model is all about your revenue structure. So wellness forever or generic Aadhaar or generic, these kind of business models are rapidly taking the charge of this entire market, right? Similarly, we have the incredible Indian startups who have innovated business model. Number one, Paytm, right? So Paytm is a startup which did not innovated their product or even process. What innovated is business model. Okay, so Paytm's business model is completely different. How they earn money is completely different. Same is the case with Ola, Uber. Same is the case with Oyo, right? These are few of the startups where they have innovated their business model, right? So startup is a business with innovation, and innovation can be in product, process, or business model. Moving on to next. Now, before we understand the entire Indian startup ecosystem, let's ask ourselves as a healthcare professional, in order to start a startup, why we should, select a healthcare sector. There are multiple pain points. There are multiple pain points in healthcare sector, right? This is something which we really, think upon, right? We cannot afford to experiment on our patients, and that's the only reason why Indian healthcare is one of the very last industries to be disrupted by technology, right? Say for example, if I'm building an e-commerce application just like Amazon or Flipkart or Snapdeal, then I can go on experimenting on multiple customers or multiple consumers. I can take their feedback. Okay, same is the case if I want to start a startup in say electric vehicles. I can go on and have multiple experiments, but this is not possible in healthcare sector because we cannot experiment to on patients, right? Talking about few of the demographics, India's population is now reaching to 1.4 billion. If you could see on the screen, see facts and figures are available everywhere, but how you leverage these facts and figures as an opportunity? That's the question, right? So as we all know, India's population is reaching to 1.4 billion by 2025, and half of this will be at the age of 30. 930 millions, they have access to cell phones, but not to clean water. That's something which we can consider as the irony of our country, right? Prevalence of key elements where we can see these are few of the topmost conditions, or the diseases elements which our country is facing right now. Number one, hypertension, diabetes, cancer, osteoarthritis. Even talking about cancer, just see the few of the facts and figures, or the number of patients in the last 10 years, right? You can see there is the most rapid growth in cancer, number of cancer patients in the last 10 years. Okay, cancer, still we are considering cancer as a kind of condition which is being diagnosed at stage 2 or stage 3. We need to do something where we can diagnose cancer at stage 1, right? So we need to have few of the diagnostic tools, methodologies, right? Or kind of technology where we can screen cancer at stage 1. And this is what a startup known as Niramai is doing, right? Niramai has done or is doing fantastic work as far as breast cancer is concerned, right? So we need such kind of startups who can actually contribute to these real time scenarios. Same is the case with diabetes. See the number of patients, type 1, type 2, right? We all know India is a capital of diabetes, right? Also, India is now becoming a capital for cancer, right? So similarly, HIV, cardiovascular diseases, chronic kidney diseases, injury, even let's forget about all these conditions. Even we are flooded with the conditions like number one, accidental death, number two, suicidal tendencies or suicide cases. Okay, we are no doubt we are right now focusing on COVID-19 and kind of infections, but the more number of death, if you see in the last 5 years or 10 years, these are completely different conditions, right? So we need to have such kind of technologies or startups which can actually create a solution for these kind of problems, because startup is all about solving the pain points of the customers, in our case solving the pain points or burning problems of our patients. 76% of Indians even today do not have health insurance, and this results in the high out of pocket expenses incurred by the citizens of this country, right? I'm not going to have a debate on what kind of health insurance uh, you know uh, the facilities or services are there in US and UK, but considering India, even today 76% they do not have health insurance, right? Because of this COVID-19 and pandemic, everyone is now started spending on preventive healthcare, right? Preventive healthcare is basically or even this health insurance is one of the part of this preventive healthcare. Now people have understood that the potential of spending on preventive healthcare, right? So health insurance is one of them. Now let's understand why to start a startup, right? So number one, just will quickly brief these pointers. Why to start a startup? Because when I consider any student, or when I consider any research scholar or even professor who are excellent in research, the possible question is why to start a startup, because there are multiple advantages which our country have today. Okay, 2020 is the year where we are right now experiencing transition. Maybe we have a certain positive impact, maybe certainly we have negative impact, but uh, talking about startup or the kind of culture right now which is being built in our country, these are few of the advantages. Number one is demographic dividend. Demographic dividend is uh, something like, see, India today is the youngest country on this planet. Okay, 64% of the youngsters, uh, 64% of the population, they are youngsters, right? And this itself creates a potential for our country, right? So that's number one advantage where we have this demographic dividend.
Number two, as we all know, you pick healthcare, you pick any sector, you pick telecom industry, you pick retail industry, you pick agriculture, you pick food industry, right? Even public transport, even crime, water, waste management, you pick any sector, even automobile, we are actually flooded with these kind of problems. But if you have that characteristics of entrepreneur, then you will consider all these problems as an opportunity, right? I can share you multiple startup stories or multiple startup success stories who started their startup during pandemic because they considered pandemic as the great opportunity to start a startup, right? Best example in front of us is MyLab Discovery Solutions. They brought COVID-19 test kit, right? So this is something because of the problem, opportunities are being created. So as an entrepreneur, as a research scholar, as an innovator, we need to see like these are the problems which can actually directly creates opportunities, right? There are multiple companies who, even I can, tell you like the companies who manufacture these sanitizers and mask and every damn thing which is there during this pandemic, right? Which is experiencing high sale or in bulk sales, right? They are manufacturing like anything. See the business which nutraceutical products are doing, right? Same is the case with few of the herbal medicines or even organic products, right? People talking about organic products before pandemic, organic products, these were under the want category. See, for any customer, there are two types of products. Few of the products, these are my needs. Few of the products, these are my wants. Organic products before pandemic, they were in want category. Now, considering the potential of organic products or nutraceutical products or few of the supplements, now it is becoming the need of the customer, right? So this is something, if at all you are identifying a problem, yes, that is something which can actually create opportunity, right? India, you can consider our country as a machine to produce engineers, right? We are the capital of engineers. We have the highest number of engineers, we have highest number of scientists, we have highest number of universities as well, right? Plus we have something which US or Silicon Valley, they call this something as innovation. We call this something as jugaad. So jugaad is basically our Indian innovation, right? In other words, jugaad is or see, India is famous for jugaad. Similarly, India is famous for low cost innovation. Thanks to the team of ISRO, because of whom we are now identified as or recognized as a country which have a potential of low cost innovation, right? We are expert in low cost innovation, we are expert in jugaad. But the thing here is, even if we have these kind of world class jugaad or world class innovation in our country, this is the time where we need to actually commercialize our innovation. Because even if we see the institutions or universities where we have a few of the research labs, we have PhD scholars, professors, postgraduate students talking about their research component, they are excellent, right? They know how to innovate a product, or they know how to innovate a process. But to be very frank, to be very open, this research is for the sake of having some patents and publications and for conferences. See, no doubt having a presentations or publications or patents, great. But understanding this thing is very important. Unless and until your research, unless and until your innovation creates a value for the society, creates benefits for the society, it is of no use, right? So having these patents and publications are, you should consider these as a secondary priorities. Number one priority for all these great researchers and innovators should be how you can bring your product, how you can bring your innovation to the market, so that it will facilitate the patients, it will facilitate the entire market, and the market will, receive this benefit, right? So this is all about creating value. Entrepreneurship is creating value, right? So whatever research we have, whatever innovation have, we need to see how we can commercialize it and bring it to the market. There are multiple post COVID opportunities, and if you ask me top three emerging sectors after post COVID to start a startup, number one is healthcare, number two is food, and number three is e-commerce. Considering the number of problems, consider their severity, their urgency, number one is healthcare. Okay, so there is much more in healthcare sector to evolve with. India is the pharmacy capital of the world, so eventually we have, we all know that pharmacy or a pharmaceutical industry or a pharmaceutical sector today in India is a sunrise sector for the next 20-30 years, right? So we need to, leverage this opportunity as far as startups are concerned. Now the next part of this session is to understand the entire Indian startup ecosystem. Okay, now today we have more than 60,000 officially recognized startups, right? 60,000 startups are officially recognized by Startup India. So Startup India is basically, they have their own website, startupindia.gov.in. If you feel like your business have innovation in product or process or business model, then you can register your startup to Startup India. They basically screen your innovation component, and if they found okay, then they verify and then they issue certificate of recognition, right? So certificate of recognition is basically the credibility which you receive from government of India, right? So we have more than 60,000 startups who have received this certificate of recognition from government of India. I'm very proud to share that out of 60,000, we have three startups who have officially recognized, who have received certificate of recognition from government of India. Now see the growth of Indian startups, right? Last 6 years, if you see the growth of any sector, you see the growth of IT sector or even banking sector, insurance sector, pharma sector, right? Food sector. See the growth of Indian startups in terms of percentage. In the last 6 years, 2016, we had only 516 startups, but today we have more than 60,000 startups in our country. This is a sector distribution as far as startups are concerned. Healthcare and life sciences, 9.1% startups are in healthcare. IT services, 15.2%, 7.6% augmented reality, virtual reality, 4.4% food and beverage, 4.2% agriculture, 3.5% fintech, 3.4% retail, 3.3% green tech, renewable energy, IoT, real estate, AI, analytics, robotics, and education. These are, various sectors of startups and their sector contribution. Talking about state-wise contribution, Maharashtra has the highest number of startups in our country. Number one is Maharashtra, number two is Karnataka, and number three is Delhi. Talking about cities, Bangalore have the highest number of startups in our country, and that's why we call Bangalore as Silicon Valley of India, right? After Bangalore, number two is Mumbai, number three is Delhi, right? Even Pune is becoming the emerging city for startups, right? These are a few of the prominent and incredible and popularized startups in our country. E-commerce, we have Flipkart, Snapdeal, Udan, Paytm Mall, Car Deco, FirstCry.com, Lenskart, Quicker. See this FirstCry.com, it is actually a Pune-based startup, right? Paperfry.com, Cast24, FinTech, Paytm, PhonePe, Policy Bazaar, Consumer Services, Swiggy, Zomato, Grofers, Big Basket, Enterprise, Zoho, Freshworks, Druva, Transport Tech, Ola, Bounce, Mission Electric, Vogo. Travel Tech, we have Oyo, Make My Trip, Go Ibibo, Media and Entertainment, Delhi Hunt, Dream 11, ShareChat. Now talking about media and entertainment, uh, during this pandemic, during this last 2 years, there are three sectors who emerge like anything. Number one, of course, healthcare, health tech startups. It was a boom in the last 2 years. Number two is the food sector. Okay, that's number two. And number three is gaming industry. Right. Hyderabad is the capital for gaming startups. Right. The different startups, because see, understanding the uh, population or few of the interesting facts and figures about our smartphone users is very important. And the smartphone usage or internet usage during these last 2 years, they were huge in the last century, right? Because the kind of culture or the kind of technology orientation which we are looking into, this pandemic was where we have seen this at peak. And that's how the gaming industry evolved like anything. Okay. Next is edtech startup, Byju's, Unacademy, Vedantu, Upgrade, Topper, White Hat HR, logistics, delivery, then health tech, PureFit, Practo, Lotus Labs, 1mg, Innovator, MedGenome, Pharmacy, NetMeds. Talking about student startups, every year we have 30% year on year growth of student startups. Student startups are nothing but the startups which are founded by students itself. So the students right now, maybe second year, third year students, they have their own projects, they are working on their projects. There are few groups of students, even if you ask me, in pharmacy institutions, they have some incredible ideas irrespective of their core pharma, but do they have their great ideas? And they basically see to it like how I can start my own startup before the time I graduate, right? So these kind of student startups are even increasing year on year. One more thing, the female entrepreneurs. Right now, we have only 14% female entrepreneurs in the country. Right. When you see entire population of the country, 48% is the contribution of female. Right. 48% population is of women, out of which only 19% they actually contribute to the our entire workforce, and out of which only 14% are women entrepreneurs. Considering the potential which these women entrepreneurs have, or the innovation or the research potential, we need to motivate female students or female entrepreneurs to take this particular pathway of entrepreneurship, right? One more thing, be it central government, be it state government, there are multiple funding opportunities, or even Maharashtra State Innovation Society, they have multiple funding schemes, especially for female entrepreneurs, right? So every aspect of our startup ecosystem, they are trying to, build more and more number of female entrepreneurs in the country. These are few of the sector-wise or characteristic-wise startups in healthcare sector. These are the top Indian healthcare startups. Starting from online pharmacy, we have 1mg, Pharmacy, NetMeds, MyraMed, Sasta SR. Uh, Personal health management, we have MyUpchar, CureJoy. In medical devices, we have UE Life Sciences, Forus Health, Beto, Wealthy Therapeutics. In fitness and wellness, we have Fiternity, CureFit, Healthify Me, GoQ. Home healthcare, we have Healthians. Diagnostics, we have uh, Niramai. Niramai is in 2020. Yes, in 2020, Niramai won National Startup Award, Best National Startup Award in the category of healthcare. We are going to discuss what exactly Niramai is doing, because I referred this Niramai startup during the initial talk, where we have seen we need such kind of startups for our cancer, right? So that's one more thing. In healthcare IT and data, we have Practo, we have Innovator, we have HealthPlix, we have PharmaRack, we have Attune, we have CareStack, Live Health, etc. Even Live Health is from Pune. Okay, so Abhimanyu Bhosle, one of the engineering graduate from PCIT, he started with his own startup from Pune itself. Now he have renamed or rebranded this particular startup, and I guess it's in management information system, MIS. It is in management information system. Next is telemedicine. We have Practo, Libre, Doxfine, and Mfine. Uh, Now let's see the various case studies of Indian healthcare startups. Number one is NetMeds, one of the biggest medical startups in India, and this is India's leading online pharmacy. NetMeds was actually founded by fourth generation pharmacist. So the founder and his entire family, they already have a series of retail pharmacies in their town, and the fourth generation of this family, he thought, rather than having a retail sales of the medicine or distribution of the medicine limited to his town, let's figure out how I can have an online pharmacy. And as a result, he started this NetMeds. So over millions of active customers and deliveries to more than 19,000 pin codes. This is my one of my favorite startup. If you ask me for healthcare startup, impactguru.com. Impactguru.com is a blend of crowdsourcing platform with healthcare or with healthcare emergencies. Okay. So this is the largest crowdfunding platform in India for medical expenses. Right. So it was founded in 2015 in Mumbai. Now, what exactly impactguru.com actually functions like? Okay. So for example, uh, say one of your friend, he is looking for say 30 or 40 lakhs of emergency funds so that he can treat his father, maybe uh, liver transplant or maybe any kind of major surgery. And this is something which we can consider as ultra emergency. Within couple of days you need to manage these funds, because this is something which can't be resistible, right? Now, considering the paying capacity, or considering the financial conditions, uh, my friend is not actually making up to managing these funds. So what rather we can do is we ask for help to our relatives or friends and so on. But managing these funds in couple of days or in a week is very difficult. Now, how impactguru.com solves this particular pain point or burning problem of such kind of patients or patients relatives is, if you have something like this, you can put your application on impactguru.com along with all your hospital reports and everything. Now, impactguru.com team, it validates your report, its genuinity, its emergency, and they connect with the hospital. When hospital validates that, then hospital verifies that yes, this is the genuine case and we are looking for such kind of funds. Then impactguru.com, they use their entire network, not just from India, but whatever global network they have, the network of different individuals, NGOs, other crowdfunding platforms, few of the social enterprises, so that they can create a donation, or they can bring some donation funds, so that this problem of managing medical expenses will be solved, right? So till date, over 20,000 patients have benefited by 2 lakh donors from impactguru.com. Okay, so that's something. See, uh, at initial part of the session, what we have seen is startups basically create solution for problem. This problem is huge, and we have seen is happening frequently. They could not manage medical expenses. Also, they cannot have, or they basically does not have their health insurance, and many of the patients or many of their relatives, they need to find out some of the alternative search for managing medical expenses. Docplexus is same like all our networking platforms, right? So we all are on LinkedIn, we all are on Instagram and Facebook. Docplexus is basically a networking platform, especially for doctors, right? So if you are a doctor, you can directly log into Docplexus and you can exchange your thoughts and ideas and experiences with the other doctors. So right now they have a community of doctors, 2.75 lakh doctors across the country are connected on Docplexus. Practo is the finest example of student startup, because Mr. Shashank and Abhinav, two engineering students from NIT Bangalore, they started their startup in 2008 when they were in second year engineering, right? Now, Practo is one of the world's leading healthcare platform. We all are aware about Practo. Over 2 lakh doctor profiles, 5,000 diagnostic centers based in 35 cities from all across India and abroad. This is one more interesting startup, Bloodsure. I'll just quickly brief you about what exactly it does. Say for example, uh, say let's consider we have a village at grassroots level at a remote place, and there is an emergency where they are looking for O negative blood group. Now managing or finding a blood donor of O negative blood group is something difficult task. Now at a remote place, how can they manage O negative blood group? Because hardly they have clinics. No doubt they will not have any kind of blood banks over there. So the only option is to bring O negative blood donor or blood bags from the city. Maybe they are far from that remote place. So how this problem is being solved by Bloodsure is, Bloodsure is basically an application where all this is basically a community of blood donors. So what I'll do is, if I have a requirement of O negative blood group, then I'll enter on this platform. It will track my GPS location and then my requirement. When I put my requirement as O negative blood group, it will find me the nearest O negative blood donor. Maybe he is 2 kilometers away or 5 kilometers away. Then I can it shares the contact details of that particular user, and then we exchange contact numbers, and then I can bring that O negative blood group to that particular target region, so that we can have the next procedure, right? So Bloodsure was founded by Mr. Raghav in 2012. This platform connects blood and platelet donors to those in need of it in real time. They have a strong community, over 1.25 lakh active donors in India, Bangladesh, and Nepal. Niramai is a Bangalore-based startup which uses artificial intelligence and machine learning for pain-free breast cancer screening. Right now, detecting breast cancer in early stage is a statement, or is a motto. With this particular vision, they could leverage AI and machine learning technologies in their diagnostic kit, right? So the screening device which Niramai have, they can detect tumors 5 times smaller than what a clinical examination can catch, right? They have also tested or validated this particular device with the one which is there in cancer hospitals, right? One more thing, if at all the whatever prices are there for breast cancer screening at cancer hospitals, considering the price point, it is 75% cheaper than the normal cost which is there in hospital. Live Health is Pune based startup which I was talking about by Abhimanyu Bhosle. Live Health is, yes, it is MIS system, management information system, collecting samples, managing patient records, diagnosing them, generating reports, billing, inventory, even managing your health insurance. Everything is there in this MIS app. So Live Health is a healthcare startup from Pune. Emergency is one more startup, and now it is being funded by Ratan Tata sir as well. So Emergency right now it is present in 50 cities. Uh, so far they have raised $2 million funding. Their revenue right now, the revenue is 50 lakh rupees. Emergency is basically a platform or an aggregator which brings all the health emergencies together, right? The doctors and nurses and paramedics and ambulance and first aid assistants, everything on a single platform. Wafer chips techno solutions, here you can see just like a pen drive, she has devised this particular device which is through which you can actually have this ECG. Okay, so even you can connect this with your smartphone just by using a Bluetooth. It can transfer this entire data, and you can see actual analytics, right? Like how you have your smartwatch and you can see all your analytics in your application. Similarly, This is a wafer chips techno solutions. Nowadays there are various companies who are coming with portable ECG devices, right? I still remember during our school days or some 20-30 years back, having a ECG at hospital is the one of the critical tasks. We have to they had to have that particular big machines. Even it involves that particular medical expenses, but right now having the ECG is now a convenient process, right? So ECG, sorry, for this wafer chips techno solutions, they have also received multiple funding rounds from the investors. EasyRx is Kolkata based startup, and they have uh, the absolutely cheaper test for anemia, jaundice, and oxygen saturation. So their client is basically the hospitals where they can, install this particular machine so that they can actually facilitate maximum patients. Mediasha, one more Pune-based startup. Mayur Sanas, a very good friend of mine, and Mediasha Technologies is being incubated at our COAP Pune. So COAP Pune, they have their own incubation center, Bhavi Incubation Center, and this Mediasha Technologies. Recently, there was a visit of few of the central ministers, including Piyush Goyal, and Mr. Piyush Goyal sir have visited COEP Pune. He have seen all the startups there. He especially appreciated Mediasha Technologies, the kind of innovation they have brought. Okay, so what exactly Mediasha Technologies is all about? So now consider, let's consider a school and kids are playing and one of the kid has fallen and now he have a fracture on his right hand. Now what we can do is we have this first aid kit and everything. Okay, at last we can have a spray or painkillers or few the things for dressing and everything. But what about fracture? You cannot repair that by using a first aid kit, right? So rather than taking him directly to the hospital, you can immediately treat that particular patient or that particular fracture by using their kit, that is fracto aid. So fracto aid basically is orthopedic splint. Okay, so it is just like kind of handkerchief size material which you can keep it in your first aid kit as well. Once you see such kind of accident, then what you can do is you have to just uh, get that fracto aid from first aid kit. You have to soak it in a water, and then you have to wrap it around the affected organ, maybe shoulder, maybe wrist, right? Maybe you can immediately wrap that around. Within 5 minutes, he achieves, that particular material achieves the functional strength which you can see for those plasters, right? So within 5 minutes, your fracture or your entire treatment, kind of treatment, can be started from there itself. Because of this innovation, they have also received 15 lakh rupees of funding from Maharashtra State Innovation Society recently. At COEP, they have this 3D printers, and right now they have a few of the projects which are undergoing on prosthetic limbs, right? So artificial limbs or prosthetic limbs, maybe prosthetic ears, prosthetic nose, prosthetic hands, prosthetic fingers. Likewise, based on the size, based on the color, everything they can manage by using these 3D printers. So prosthetic limbs is one of the area where we can actually think of starting a startup. Inito is one more IIT based startup. Inito is basically, they have this home healthcare device by using which you can have 74 different tests which you can have by using this Inito. This is eventually connected to your smartphone, and they have excellent analytics as well. Say for example, I am a diabetic patient. Then over a period of last 1 year, I can see all the analytical reports. Also, that app will suggest me few of the lifestyle changes, what to eat, when to eat, how to sleep, when to sleep, everything, every damn thing that particular application through the notifications, he can sense all those reports, all those records, and they can share all these inputs through this notification. So at last, just to summarize, what are the different sectors in healthcare startup? We have seen multiple case studies right now, and considering the opportunities in entire healthcare sector, we can summarize with these few subsectors where we have all these opportunities. Just I'll brief you shortly. Number one is online pharmacy, like Netmeds, Pharmacy. There are multiple online pharmacies are coming in, that is e-commerce of medicines. Number two is personal health management, which is basically to promote this personal health tracking applications, right? So that's one more category, personal health management. Number three is home healthcare, where see nowadays everyone, say for example, uh, diabetic patients or the patients with cholesterol, the patients with hypertension, they don't want to travel every time to pathology labs or diagnostic kit. So they need convenience. Home healthcare will give them this convenience, right? So maybe you call any lab, or you can book your appointment with a few of the diagnostic kit, and they will send their phlebotomist. Right now we are doing it. Right now we are doing it. But what if I have my own kits? I can get my test in home itself, so that I can see all these reports and everything in home itself, right? Number four, fitness and wellness. Fitness and wellness industry is booming like anything because of this pandemic. People have now started investing in their fitness and wellness. See the memberships of gyms right now. Okay, because of this pandemic, these investments are there from the people. So fitness and wellness industry like gym and yoga and mental health counseling is rapidly increasing, or having the attention of everyone because of the lifestyle. Next, number five is telemedicine, which enables doctor consultation virtually. Next, number six is diagnostics. Diagnostics, if you ask me, for India, diagnostics is the most underutilized yet unorganized sector. See these pathology labs and diagnostic sectors, right? So this is the time where now these different brands are coming in, who are actually organizing this entire sector. Even recently, maybe a quarter before, Lupin, second largest pharmaceutical company in our country, Lupin, is now entered into diagnostic business. So like we have the other brands like Dr. Lalpath or Metropolis or even SRL Diagnostics, Lupin is now entered into this business, right? So diagnostics is also is now becoming an organized sector, right? So diagnostics, which involves technology, can be one of the subsector which to begin with the startup. Number seven is biotech R&D, which uses biological and technological advances to repair health and well-being. Biotech R&D, which includes vaccines and everything. Number eight is medical devices. Number nine is healthcare IT. See, whenever for any of your startup require IT infrastructure, maybe a software, maybe an application, maybe anything. Your machine would require an IT infrastructure to take the readings, or to read the reports, anything, or even analytics. So that's something healthcare IT. Biopharmaceuticals. Number 11, genomics. Number 12, cosmetics. That too, organic cosmetics or herbal cosmetics. Say this brand Mama Earth, right? Mama Earth is doing fantastic as far as cosmetics is concerned. Read the entire story of Mama Earth, right? They have a series of incredible products, and this is the absolutely, an example of a startup, right? So even in cosmetics now, based on the people's requirement, based on the consumer requirement, right now consumers, they are not looking for chemical based cosmetics. They are looking for herbal based cosmetics with better results, with more convenience, right? So cosmetics have that particular opportunity where few of your herbal innovations, your herbal formulations can be a part of this entire industry, right? Only thing is how you are going to incubate these startups to bring your cosmetic startups. That's the story. Number 13 is nutraceuticals, where you can actually formulate nutraceuticals. And number 14 is skill development, where you can build the skilled workforce for healthcare sector. Maybe a skill development which is related with nursing, skill development which is related with phlebotomist, skill development which is related with the pharma professionals. It can be anything. So skill development is one more sector where we can consider this as one of the subsector for healthcare startup. Number 15 is medical tourism, which have extreme potential, but we never explored all the opportunities which are there in medical tourism. Because you see, the culture of Ayurveda or the herbal medicines, which India we have culturally from our tradition, we are not exploring in that context or in that particular way. For Indian population, it is underutilized, but there are multiple patients from abroad, like from UK, from US. They're coming down to India just to experience or just to have this particular treatment as a well-being, right? So medical tourism should evolve after whatever the things are happening, and we should utilize our cultural or traditional things like Ayurveda and yoga and meditation and herbal medicine in that particular scenario, where we can see the growth in medical tourism. And last, um, to conclude this particular session, to start a startup at educational campuses where we want to commercialize our research, this is the flow, right? So idea to prototype, that's the stage number one. There are now focus only on the first two stages. Okay, so there are two stages of startup. Number one is idea to prototype. Most of you or most of your research is now at this particular stage, idea to prototype. Now once you have a prototype, then you need to commercialize it, or you need to transform your prototype or working model into a product, into a commercially viable product which customer or which market is looking for, right? So this is the entire process where you can see uh, ideas to prototype and prototype to market. And that's where you can see this word incubation. So incubation is basically a process where through incubation centers or facilitation centers, your prototype can be converted into commercially viable product. Because innovating a product, you are the expert, but how to sell that product, you need an expert, right? In order to have an expert, you need to connect with any of the incubation center. For example, talking about healthcare, right? Say for example, if you have any kind of healthcare innovation, what or the incubation center which I can recommend you is HTIC, Healthcare Technology Incubation Center, which is a part of IIT Madras. So HTIC is precisely for healthcare technology. So if you have an innovation, if you have a prototype from healthcare technology, the best way to commercialize your startup is to take a help from HTIC, right? So across India, we have multiple incubation centers, right? Talking about Pune is now have multiple incubation centers, right? We have Midcon Incubation Center for biotechnology. We have Bhau Incubation Center. We have the incubation. We have multiple incubation centers at Mumbai as well. SPTBI is there, Sardar Patel Technology Business Incubator, incubation center from IIT Bombay, incubation center of even uh, this thing, Riddle is an incubation center of Somaya Ganvihar University, right? Many of these startups have graduated from these incubation centers, right? Somaya Ganvihar University's Riddle or IIT Bombay's, even uh, at Hubli we have Deshpande Foundation. Deshpande Foundation is right now India's largest incubation center, which is into mostly into agri-tech. Okay, so these are few of the examples. Even uh, Hyderabad, they have T Hub, and soon uh, T Hub is now being partnered with Microsoft and Google, and T Hub is going to be the Asia's largest incubation center in upcoming times to come. Maybe within 2 or 3 years, uh, this T Hub would become the Asia's most biggest incubation center. So incubation centers are there at educational institutions. Those who do not have incubation centers, they are trying to have or set up their incubation centers, and these are the centers where you have to bring your you have to carry your research, you have to carry your prototype, and then the incubation center will take that responsibility to commercialize your startup into a product. Okay, so maybe you will need fundraising, legal foundation, sales, marketing, partnering, right? Anything, or how to fix the pricing of the product, how to position your product in the market, anything which is related with a business point of view. Okay, so idea to prototype, you are the expert as an innovator, but prototype to product, you leave that particular product to incubation center, so that they will take charge and consider or convert your prototype into a product. Now, pre-incubation, there are two terms, pre-incubation and incubation. Initially, right now you are at this pre-incubation process. If you have something, if you're building something, maybe any herbal formulation, maybe any cosmetic formulation, maybe any diagnostic kit, right? Maybe a COVID-19 test kit. Now, uh, one of the incubation center which we are consulting in, which is in Bangalore, and one of the professor from pharmacy college, he have devised a saliva based COVID-19 test kit. For example, if I want to buy COVID-19 test kit of Abbott or MyLab, the charges are around 250 or 300 rupees, somewhere around this. But this saliva based COVID-19 test kit which that professor has devised, it can cost you just 45 or 50 rupees, that's it. Now we have validated this COVID-19 test kit with one of the hospital, and now we are submitting this to ICMR. Once ICMR we receive approval from ICMR, we can actually commercialize this saliva-based COVID-19 test kit in the market, right? So these are few of the innovations. By with the help of incubation center, you can actually bring it to the market, right? Incubation involves prototyping, product development, business model, company formation, how to apply for funding, everything, and developing marketing strategy and launch. So this was all about the inputs from mine as far as the topics startup opportunities in healthcare sector was concerned. You can reach me at these websites and emails. Website is www.opexindia.com. You can connect us through an email as admin@opexindia.com. There are multiple interviews which, along with whatever mentors we have, I had taken multiple interviews with these mentors. We have these sessions from all our mentors are there on startups and everything. So you can watch these recorded interviews on our YouTube channel Opex India, where you can see all these inputs. And in person, you can connect me on LinkedIn. I'm there on LinkedIn as Sachin Kumbhoje. If you want to wish me to connect on Instagram, you can connect me with Sachin.startupcoach. So with this, I conclude this session. And once again, I'm thankful to all the organizers and also the participants for having me here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sachin. Thank you for such a nice and informative lecture. So directly we'll move to the question and answer part.
Sure.
So anybody having any question, you can unmute yourself and you can ask the question. Also, you can put your question in chat box.
Yes, in case if you have any kind of questions, you can directly ask, or even you can put your questions in chat box.
Okay, Sachin, I have one question. Suppose I am an inventor and I have invented one of the product, and I feel that it is applicable to the market, but many times market doesn't feel like that this is applicable. So how to look on that point? It is applicable or it is not applicable?
Okay, very important question, Nilesh sir, because many of the times what happens is this is basically a stage idea validation. See, we have the 16 stages of the startup, and this is stage number 3, idea validation. So the best resource who can validate your idea is not a consultant, is not any mentor, is not any investor. The best resource who can validate your idea is your customer only. And that's the reason there is one methodology, that is basically a methodology of MVP, minimum viable product. So before you launch your actual product in the market, first launch MVP to 50 customers or to 100 customers. That is your first version of your product, right? So give it to your customer, let them taste that product, let them give you the possible feedback. This particular feedback is or should act as an asset for your product development, because based on the feedback and the negative pointers of their feedback will give you the clear cut idea about whether they are accepting your product or they want some modifications. If at all you have this modification, then modify your product accordingly and then launch second version 2.0, that is MVP second version. Again, give it for test for say a sample size of 300 people, again take a feedback, again take the modification, and then launch your final version, probably the third version. I can share you multiple examples of this methodology, like Instagram, or like even Dropbox, Airbnb. These are few of the prominent startups who have actually implemented this methodology. So even in healthcare, we can actually adopt this methodology before we actually launch our final product in the market. Knowing customer or getting their feedback is very important here.
Okay, thank you. There is one question in chat box. The fracture kits developed by COEP are available in market. It's a question. Is this available in the market and how to produce this?
Yes. They are available in the market, and what I can do is I'll share you the contact number of Mayur Sanas to directly to Dr. Nilesh sir. Okay, so you can even share directly the contact number of Mayur sir. You can connect directly with him and ask about this particular Fracto Aid component.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Hello. Yes, sir.
Yeah, hello, ma'am.
Good morning, sir.
Kavita madam.
Yes, good morning.
Sir, I am Dr. Kavita Gajbhe from Pune College of Pharmacy. Sir, I just wanted to ask one question.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, how technological innovation will transform the future of the healthcare sector? Your
Could you
opinion, sir.
could you please repeat the question?
Sir, how technological innovation will
Mm-hmm.
transform the future of the healthcare sector?
Okay. Sure. Now, the
Yes.
best example which I can give you as far as technology is concerned, you can pick any of the new age diagnostic kits or medical devices, because they have newest technologies. Because when I talk about technologies, these are the technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, 3D printing, organ sensors. These are the new age technologies. The possible benefits which patients or ultimately our healthcare sector will get, number one is precision. Whatever diagnosis is involved, we will get the precise diagnostics or precise diagnosis of whatever conditions we have. That's number one. Number two is convenience. Number three is the cost which is involved in whatever technologies right now we are using, and some of the newest technologies. See, these are the three most, you can consider these as an advantage over the current practices which we are doing in the hospitals or in the entire healthcare. we can surely get the benefits or the entire transition because of these newest technologies.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your
Yes,
suggestion and valuable opinion on this my question. Thank you, sir.
yes. Thank you so much.
Yes, Sachin sir, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, sir, it was very nice presentation. I would say, means you have really chalked out all the problem statement that pharma people should work on, starting
Right.
from various diseases. Where your presentation was very useful for we as an person to work on entrepreneurship. As you have said, the patent and publication is the main focus,
Right.
which should be actually a second side product of
Right.
innovation. But most
Exactly.
of the time, if you see the regulation part of thing, many of ranking systems now we are getting into area, but before that we have NBA, NRF, and in that we are mostly investing our time into all these things, which are the mandatory things, where all this startup kind of activity needs wholehearted time allotment. So most of the time, managing time is a issue. So
Okay.
now we are moving towards it. So what is your take on this? Means how do you see if this regulation changes? More of the means instead of voluntary, if we regulation system is putting into that mandatory thing like regulatory authority, then it will change probably. What do you say on this?
Sure. I'll like to add one input from my end. Even recently, uh, here we have at Karad, we have Krishna Deemed University, which is basically uh, which is into healthcare. Okay. Now, I'm actually a member of their incubation center, and recently we had this NAC visitors over here. Now, Krishna Deemed University, they have 28 patents. Okay. During this NAC inspection, the meeting which we had as a part of our incubation center, their first question was how many patents you have. So proudly,
Okay. Yes, means now the focus is changing. Hello, Sachin sir, you are not audible, I suppose.
Sachin sir, you're not audible. Hello, Sachin sir.